What's going on, everyone? Late night riders. Hopefully, everyone is doing great. I had to jump on here just for a little bit for the first day of the New Year's rollout, and I wanted to talk about some of those very important topics that's out here in boxing that's going to be on the big stage this year in 2020. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. Hey, check this out. We all know we want to see them fight. We all know what Errol Spence is going through in the recovery process. And in that time when before he returns to the ring, there needs to be other fighters that are placed in the position like the Mean Machine was to have that opportunity to go on the big stage and fight. That's just point blank, period. That's what we need to see. We need to see a quality opposition that we didn't think we was going to see, like Yordenis Ugas. We need to see him step in there and potentially face Terrence Crawford, or he already faced Sean Porter, so we need to see him step in there because he fights tall. He's always in shape, and I believe he'll give any one of them an honest assessment of his skills, especially being a big fight the way it is. Not sure why Manny Pacquiao is being able to hold on to a championship badge when it doesn't seem like it's a sense of urgency for him to return to the ring. Like, we're trying to unify two divisions right now. I'm talking about undisputed, and welterweight is one of them. Heavyweight is the other. We're in the process of getting the 154-pound division to tighten up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it seems like all these divisions are playing the same role, y'all. Listen to me. Hear me out on this. Wasn't we very close in the middleweight division to potentially having a unified champion? Only if we would have tightened up a couple of edges. And then look what happened. The IBF belt was stripped. No one wanted to go over there and face the other champion. You had a unified champion, and then everything just fragmented. Now we have the welterweight division. Keith Thurman was the unified champion. And then he went on hiatus due to an injury. Kept the WBA belt, vacated the WBC. Came back, had problems with Josecito Lopez. Then fought, Sean Porter. Then fought Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao ended up taking his WBA belt. So he's really left with nothing. And he settles in nicely to wearing that damn cummerbund to his tuxedo of one time, sometime, no time. Period. That's what went on with Keith Thurman. You're talking about him being in there with freaking Danny Garcia, putting on a superb performance. Keith Thurman was in there with Sean Porter, right? Took those overhand rights with no problem. You have to give Keith Thurman that point in time. You got to give him his props because he was doing what he's supposed to. But somehow, some way, something happened. And he felt that, his sweetheart was more of a priority for him to focus on. So he just didn't come back in a lot of time that we thought he would. So, he just vacated the WBC title. So we say, cool. It gives somebody else a chance to fight for the WBC. So we had Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. And we all know what Sean Porter was able to do to an awaiting Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia should have been more active. He should have took the fight to Sean Porter like Errol Spence did. But anyway, I really don't want this welterweight division to fall by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to stay and mesh yourself together a bit more. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm saying it, because the fight potential of champion versus champion are very, very competitive. Hands down. Like, we have some very competitive fights that's out here, like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., that can really set the division on fire. Errol Spence already have 2 belts. He only needs 2 more. And you know what he can really truly do is go after Manny Pacquiao if the fight presented itself. It's Manny Pacquiao's an accessible boxer. Errol Spence can go after that, but there's no way Manny Pacquiao himself would be willing to relinquish that belt right now, even though he knows the paycheck is going to be pretty huge. What's going on, Easy Work Boxing? Salute to you, man. Thanks for dropping in, man. I know I got some late night roamers up here, man. You know what I'm saying? Them nocturnal beings, them boxing heads. But he has that in him. Manny Pacquiao can step up if he want to. He know he'll lose that belt. And if Errol Spence can get all three of those belts, the IBF, WBC, and the WBA, then heading into the Terrence Crawford fight as the A side would be automatic. It'll be a fight that's on Errol Spence terms, like he's been wanting, and it will go down. And a lot of people has solid criteria to base this fight off of than they had maybe 6 or 8 months ago. And that is gauging off their opponents. You really couldn't take it off Mikey Garcia, but you can take it off Sean Porter, a 2-time champion. You can give a lot of pluses and minuses off Errol Spence with Sean Porter. And then you turn around and take Terrence Crawford last fight against Mean Machine, and you balance the two out. Who advantaged the other? And if I'm taking a guy that's, fairly unknown, wasn't supposed to give Terrence Crawford that work. He had him in trouble, knocked him down in the third. Even Andre Ward vouched for that. So I don't want to hear anybody come on here saying Crawford didn't get knocked down. You hating on Crawford. I don't hate on nobody. Seriously, I don't hate on anybody. I'm just keeping it for what I've seen. I will have to give the edge right now, like I've been doing, to Errol Spence if he was to face Terrence Crawford, even with Terrence Crawford being a switch hitter. Deion Washington, what's good, man? What's good? What's good? Shout out to Alabama, man. Easy Work say thank you, bro. Great work. I appreciate it, man. It's going to come a point in time for those who tuned in. It's minimal people that drop in, but I really haven't been doing this YouTube channel for too long. But it's going to change. I appreciate the ones that's dropping in and leaving input. Truly appreciate that. You know what it is, always. So hopefully this is what I'm hoping with a lot of other people, that somehow, some way, Errol Spence comes back, right? And he's not as injured, and his jaw and everything is good to go, because it seemed like he was talking a little bit, not with a speech impediment, but with a slight hindrance or restriction in the regular fluidity of him speaking. That's all I saw. I try to get Errol Spence the benefit of the doubt. I've seen him speak so many times. Actually, when I was up there at Frisco, he wasn't fighting, but I actually, watched him and heard him talk. But the way he was talking to Brian Kenny was much different. So there has to be some type of jaw injury or something like that. Man, what I know about Errol, though, seriously, Errol Spence is a dog. He's tenacious of what he does. He's looking to prove a point that he can unify the welterweight division. And really, you will have to kill Errol Spence for him to just capitulate and surrender in that ring. You will have to really kill that dude. Seriously. A fighter like Errol Spence that goes to in a car accident like that, being without a seatbelt, gets ejected and lives to tell about it. And his first text is, "No broken bones, I'm a savage." You literally have to kill Errol Spence to have him face some type of reality to bow down. You have to really give it to him in a certain way to say, damn, hey, he was the better man. I did everything possibly I could do, and I just couldn't gain no momentum. I couldn't get it done. So he the better man. He beat me. I mean, you have to give him some force. You know what I'm saying? Just like Star Wars, you're going to have to do something to Errol Spence. But anyway, I truly hope that him and Terrence Crawford come to some type of communication where they can close this gap and stop dangling in front of the boxing fans and get this fight. We really need Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford in that welterweight division. We do. Beyonce, no doubt, I'm going to support you. I appreciate it. I'm going to Ugas and Dallas, yeah, versus Dallas Jr. I seen that today in Biloxi. I seen that. I'm gonna be up Mississippi before that for a fight. Believe it or not, but we really hope that particular fight plays itself. I really want to touch bases on Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and on how historic this bout is going to be. You know, the prestigiousness of this bout and how important it is to the heavyweight division is potentially, you have Tyson Fury returning, the former unified champion before he went the hiatus that never defended the belt, popping for pets and drugs and everything else. What I have to do is give Tyson Fury the little bit of credit to a 320 FICO score that he was able to keep those belts for the period he did and then freaking lose them and default on the loan. His loan was you have the belt, at least defend it. You know what I'm saying? At least defend the belt so you can become a legitimate champion. You just can't say Tyson Fury was legitimate champion just by winning the belts, but never defended neither belt. So he goes on a hiatus, come back, and he's up here just kicking cans all over the place. Then you have Deontay Wilder during that time. The only fighter that he is going the distance with is Bermane Stiverne, right? So up the line, he chose to rematch Bermane Stiverne, and it was straight destruction, decimation. He was hitting Stiverne through his gloves. You know, I used to tell people all the time, you want to complain about a windmill until your head get close enough and it gets decapitated. That's exactly what Deontay Wilder was when they were sitting up here taking him playing around and swinging wildly as something that has to do with him just totally lacking ring IQ, fundamentals, everything. It seems like it's just the same song and dance when it comes to Deontay, but now he's throwing that 1-2 straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying? He's been doing it for several fights now. And we've been seeing it with Dominic Brazil. We've seen it with Stiverne. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it with Luis Ortiz both times. But this last time he fought Luis Ortiz, you've seen his left right. I mean, it was crucial. It was meant for dilapidated rehabilitation. And that's exactly what happened. Going in this next fight with Tyson Fury, he's switching up trainers. He's talking about, it was getting stale. He needed someone that he can communicate with better, that can be a life coach, so to speak, with Tyson Fury. If that don't tell you what's going on in Tyson Fury's head, that he might be falling off the boat a little bit, that he needs to be around people to energize whatever insecurities or discomfort that he has, people. I'm telling you, that seems like what Tyson Fury is going through right now. Him switching up all these trainers. And then I have Teddy Atlas and his co-op on a podcast. And his co-op said that Tyson Fury training, changing these trainers out may be just enough to correct, to correct that boxing discrepancy that he had, to go in there and then outbox Deontay Wilder and not get caught with that right hand. And I say, hell, if you want to talk about that, if that's all you got to do, then that should have been done already. You know what I'm saying? That should have been done already. It shouldn't have taken that long if all you have to do is go in there and say, we need a equalizer for the right hand. Stay on the outside, just out his distance, and you will be okay. Look, I'm here to tell you that shit is not that easy. Like, you just cannot go in there as a boxer and say Tyson Fury has the best fundamentals for Deontay Wilder, you're basically devaluing what boxing skills he has and then coming up with a plan to negate one dimension. You're not even worrying about the left hand. You want to just negate the right hand. But really, he has power in both hands, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? He really has power in both hands. You don't get 42 and 0 and 41 knockouts just by saying, I've been swinging this Thor hammer that's on my right side, knocking cats out all the time. That's just not the way it goes, man. You have to really give him adulations about his ring IQ. You have to accredit him for doing more in the gym than what people give him credit for with his performance inside the ropes. You definitely have to do that, people. That's real talk. Easy Work say he's nervous. I believe there's optimism there and doubt from being knocked out in the 12th round the first time. Easy Work. When people get on here, right, they know I've been supporting Deontay Wilder for quite some time, but I support him because legitimately, this wholeheartedly, keeping integrity with him in myself, I truly believe he's the best heavyweight in the division, even when Joshua had his unified titles. Look at all my lives. Check out the articles I've written. I've never wavered from that. Even when he was taking that punishment in the 7th round for 41 seconds with Luis Ortiz, I still maintain this is the heavyweight division and he will be okay. I say he will be okay. This is what he lives for. He came from a harder background. He came through the struggle. You talking about a man who had 3 or 4 jobs trying to support his daughter with spina bifida, went in there with limited amateur pedigree to the Olympics and won the bronze medal. Joshua Olympics was in his backyard. Look at the fight. Joshua was losing the fight. They built Joshua up to get that gold medal. Tell me if I'm wrong or not, man. But I'm getting to the good part now. Because Tyson Fury, we already know he's stepping back in there February 22nd. And that's going to be absolutely lit. Both fighters are going to come to settle the score. This is one of those fights to settle the score, period. It's almost like a trilogy in a rubber match. Seriously. Because there's so much riding on this. And you know why? Because the main culprits that's responsible for really egging this on and hoping for the worst for Deontay Wilder is Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. You know what I'm saying? They are so eager for Deontay Wilder for someone to go in there and lift that belt so they can pay off the fighter like they did Charles Martin. To come over here and fight Joshua for the unified titles. Because I'm gonna be honest, Joshua don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. They did not want that work last year in 2018 when they was going and placing all these restrictions on them. We've heard the numbers already, people. How you gonna give a man a flat fee? It don't matter if it's 2 different values. How are you gonna give a champion that's been reigning as long as he have flat fees with no advances on the back end, no proceeds, just a flat fee, take it or leave it, go home to your family after you don't pay all your coaches and trainers and everything with a very light bag in your hand after you went in there for war. And he was willing to go over to the UK to make that happen. Not a problem. And you know what's crazy is that when you get on the mic and you suggest a bag as heavy as $50 million, but you choose to turn it down because deep down inside, you're not the one making the decisions. People, I'm keeping this a buck. You're not the one making the decisions. Anthony Joshua wasn't supposed to be on the mic that day. He wasn't supposed to be on social media. He didn't get permission from Eddie Hearns to do that. So when Deontay and his team came and obliged him with that, then guess what? Eddie Hearn said we got to come up with another deterrent to let the people know that you're unable to do this. Why? Because we just signed a new zone deal. We're about to sign the new zone deal for 1 billion contingent on 2 year slides, and then also we're about to set you in for a bogus two Wembley fight date, September 22nd, and I believe April 13th or something like that. And he only fought in Wembley once to accommodate that deal. Before that, he had fought in Wembley twice. The first time was a fighter named Jeff Leg, I believe. It wasn't sold out. Then he went in there against Vladimir Klitschko. And then his third time, he was in there with Alexander Povetkin. That was the first fight of the 2-fight deal. So next, in 2019, he's supposed to step back in there in April, and we thought it would have been Wilder. And it wasn't, because everything fell apart with the negotiation process. Wilder said, screw it. Easy said he's nervous. Salute, champ. Appreciate it. Wilder's number one. Thank you, bro. Josh has been ducking Wilder. I've been saying this for a while, since Joshua had the belts. It just always felt to me that he was a guy that used to be very frail and skinny, and somehow he made a deal. I wouldn't say it was with the devil, but he made a deal with some individuals that saw a lot of potential in him to be a certain individual. So they start building them up. They start forming and shaping them. They start chiseling him up. They start building him up for this character. And the only thing about it, it happened to be in the sport of boxing, which sometime, from the past, you can build somebody up, and you can build a record up with the right format. And like I like to use this all the time, the right setting. They built him up around the right setting. He was able to acquire those titles in the right setting. And he did that all the way up to the point where they was cultivating the fruits, and it started to dry up, because just because you're in the UK doesn't mean everyone is affluent. So if you're going to start increasing the prices, people are going to start staying at home. And that's what's going on with Joshua. So what's next, people? They had to come to the US. The same outlet Deontay Wilder was trying to provide to these cats. He was trying to provide Joshua with a 50 million guarantee, long as you fight in the States, and it has to be in 2018. That's what you got to do. Real talk. That's what you got to do. You got to come over here. So they was like, no, we ain't coming over here. We got to fight. And then Wilder then was asking about Wembley around September. Somebody was asking about Wembley around September. And Eddie Hearns, before the little fake mandatory from the WBA popped up, oh, Wembley's not available. Wembley's not available. And sure enough, when negotiations severed, what popped up? Wembley, the 2-fight deal. All of a sudden, it's open. Before, when it was for Wilder, it wasn't available. And then all of a sudden, it pops up as being available for older Alexander Povetkin. The entire time, it just seems like their entire intentions was to avoid, and to get to the media and belittle, defame, and vilipend everything Deontay Wilder had going on as a champion. But the good thing about life, though, y'all, especially about life, you don't try to wish karma on anybody. But sometimes it just strings itself back together, man. You know what I'm saying? It comes back around full circle. And that's exactly what happened to Anthony Joshua when they came to NYC saying he was coming here to sign a contract. They came over to NYC with games. You know what I'm saying? They came over here with games, little boy games. This is real talk. How you gonna bring a contract over here to the US talking about you're gonna sign it and we just gonna wait on Deontay? That's not the way business work on that level. This ain't Hollyland. This ain't the freaking local playground. This ain't the boys club. This is real life top tier millions at stake. And you're gonna bring a contract out in the open and say, I'm going to New York to sign the contract. And guess what? Everyone who's tuned in, the contract was signed by Eddie Hearns. Not only was the contract signed by Eddie Hearns, he basically said, when asked why did he sign the contract, he said, because I own Joshua. That's coming from the son of the guy who was up here talking about, now I have to call Dillian Mr. White, or I have to, address him professionally. Because basically when they was coming up and racism and everything, it was a whole different type of communication going on, a whole different inferiority when you're addressing certain people. But anyway, Eddie Hearn said he owns Joshua. He shut all of that down about Joshua basically doing everything on his own. Joshua does not have the permission to go over here and make decisions. He's almost like growing, he might hold the aesthetic placement of a grown man. But really, when it comes down to business ethics, Anthony Joshua is in no way compliant. There's no way. There's no way that he's running his business. There's no way that you can't tell me when the books come out, Eddie Hearns may not be allegedly sourcing 30 to 35%. So I'm quick to always remind his fans to say, stop talking about Anthony Joshua's money, because unless you have the books and you want to sit up here and say Anthony Joshua just went to Saudi Arabia and made 85 million. Really? Did he truly make 85 million? Do you know the percentage that was extracted not only to Eddie Hearns, who gets to probably the grand share, but let's talk about his other team members and everything else. And then when it's all said and done, what was the numbers looking like once Anthony Joshua took the rest home? We're not talking about grossing. We're talking about what did you put in your pocket? Where are the books? You're not going to see the books because this is boxing. It's always been a business first type of outfit. So don't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be mad. Easy said, thank you, bro. Joshua been ducking Wilder. Eric Jenkins, what's good? We say fighters aren't scared. WCS, I believe Josh is fearful of Wilder. I'm gonna say it right. I'm gonna say it right now. To caveat off what Eric Jenkins said, and I believe Easy Work said. People say that all the time, that fighters aren't scared of one another because they basically know what it's like to go in there for battle. Listen, you're talking about the heavyweight division. You're talking about a fighter like Joshua who had a lot of U.S. fans on his side. When I tell you people, listen, hear me out, man. When you have these people out here that's basically 50,000 strong plus, and I commend and salute them for having their channels that long. But one thing you can understand about WCS, it's a lot of stuff that I have, and I always use hashtag no keyboard. A lot of this stuff is just from research. I don't too much like going and looking up shit while I'm talking. I like just to go off my basic knowledge. And what I can say about Joshua, in a sense, from falling every inch of the debacle between him and Eddie Hearns last year. I mean, the year before that, we're in 2020, but in 2018, how they basically screwed Wilder them around, and they wasn't putting all these other deterrents on other fighters. That you didn't apply it to Carlos Takam. You didn't apply it to Joseph Parker. You didn't apply it to anyone but Deontay Wilder. So like I mentioned before, when that UK reporter asked Joshua, do you think he deserves more than a flat fee? Do you believe? Come on, Joshua. Don't you think right now that Deontay Wilder deserves more than a flat fee? And Josh was like, I do. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna give him a flat fee with incentives on the end. See, it comes to a point when people tell you something like that, it's doing every bit of question your intelligence. They're basically saying how stupid and ignorant and illiterate are you to take this flat fee with incentives? What are the incentives on the back end? What is it? If you're not getting paid off the back end, what incentives are you giving me? How much money are you losing? Because look, that seems to be the entire question that was placed initially to say why the damn negotiation fell out in 2018. Because Shelly Finkel potentially, allegedly asked how much money was Joshua getting out of the deal. That's all they wanted to know. Like we get, you give 50 mil. How much is Joshua getting? And they act like it was secret squirrel, man. They couldn't come off the numbers. They wanted to make it seem like that was the nail in the coffin to say, guess what? We can't disclose that information. And if that's what you need, then we're out. And that really wasn't the case. But I truly believe with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury stepping back in the ring for a second time, it's going to be much difficult for Tyson Fury because you're basically giving a healthier Deontay Wilder a second opportunity to go in there and gauge you in a different way. If at his worst, he was able to close you down in the 12th round and put you in that upper room for a little bit, and though you got on your feet, then imagine what it's going to be when he come in there, maybe like 220 plus, 225, much more acclimated to Tyson Fury's style. He's not scared of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury presents a boxing skill set that's competitive enough to be in the ring with Deontay Wilder. He does. We're talking about a former unified champion who went in there and won the most boringest heavyweight championship bouts you can watch. But he was able to pull it off. He was able to go in there and get those belts. Salute. You know what I'm saying? I like Tyson Fury for taking the risk, hands down. A lot of people try to get up here for WCS and say, well, you don't like Joshua, so you don't like the UK fighters. That's absolutely far from the truth. It's just people that just don't want to accept the fact that they want you to glorify Joshua, but they don't really care less to talk about Tyson Fury. Because Tyson Fury, when he won the belts, they didn't embrace or embrace him like that. They wasn't gravitating to Tyson Fury when he had the belts. And then he fell off the scene. Here come the rise of Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua was pretty much micromanaged and babysitted through picking up his belts. It was a meticulous process for them to pick up those belts with the setting being correct. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. He was able to come champion that way. But the only thing about it, people sit up here and say, well, he went in there against so-and-so. He's winning there against Dominique Brazil. You went in there against Dillian White. And he was just having all these knockouts. But what if those fighters was actually C-level fighters? What if they was actually C-level fighters and they wasn't ready for the big stage yet? I mean, you have to put some type of energy to that. I know Tyson Fury walking in there with the hardest punch in the world. The fight public need to understand that this isn't going to be an easy bout for a fighter who's been fighting Sefer Seferi's, Francisco Pianeta's, Tom Schwartz's, and Otto Wallin's. The only fighter in between that quadrant is Deontay Wilder. You can't tell me the next time, February of this year, Deontay is not going to have a better understanding of who he's in there with and his movement and everything else. The only thing I'm praying about is that the two doesn't have a press tour like they did the first time. Like it's no need. They don't need to have a press tour to build this fight up like they did, talking over and over again, using up all that energy. Deontay's giving 1,000 bomb squads. That's energy. You know what I'm saying? That's freaking building up adrenaline. Hopefully, this can be a more level down tour. Get straight to the point, get close to the fight, and then step in there and give us a war. I don't see Tyson Fury defeating Deontay Wilder. And when he's able to go in there and defend his title for the 11th time, right? What is the narrative going to be for Tyson Fury this time? He got cut by Otto Wallen. You know what I'm saying? He got cut, so he's not totally healed. But if you're going to say that, I'm going to say, well, he was in the WWE. He went over there and fought Braun Strowman. He did fairly well. He didn't look like he had a problem over there. We say, Eric said say fighters are scared. I believe Joshua's fifth. Okay, I read that. I'll stick by to what I believe about Tyson Fury. I believe Tyson Fury have reservations about stepping back in there. Even his dad said that there's reservations of Tyson Fury getting hit by Deontay Wilder. Even Fury's wife. You know what I'm saying? It comes down to certain people not wanting to respect Deontay Wilder's power because of what comes out his mouth. We have a lot of biased ex parte individuals, man, that cover the sport of boxing, and all they want to do is have controversy. Especially, we have certain black media that truly don't want to support Deontay Wilder because he's black, but they don't want to fit into the cliche of black media supporting a black fighter. Really, if you listen to the real ones like myself, it has everything to do with their performance level, what they possess as a person and as a fighter. That's what it comes down to. And Deontay Wilder is the best heavyweight in the game right now. I know people want to sit up here and shred his fundamentals and dissect it and peel it back like it's a PowerPoint slide and give a presentation on it. I know you do. I remember I was sitting up there looking through my lens, right, at the Deontay Wilder and King Kong fight. I was looking through the lens of my camera. And in the process, I was listening to some commentary, and I heard my man, then he's just on the tip of my tongue. I was watching this podcast today. But he said that Deontay Wilder's flaws are showing. You know what I'm saying? He had just said that because Deontay Wilder, the way it looked, he was falling behind in the fight. I think it was like the 6th round that he said that. And then the 7th round come around, and that's when Deontay Wilder, was just touching the jab out there, pouring the jab out there. He turned Luis Ortiz. And then when he popped that left out there, that jab, and got that reaction from Ortiz and pulled it back and then shot the 2. It was very fast. And I'm looking through it, but I'm listening through the commentary, and then I heard the shot all at the same time. Like, I heard him say his flaws are showing, and then the bout kept going on, and then I'm looking at what Deontay's doing in there, and then you hear the shot. So I see the spray off the back of Ortiz's head, but I heard the shot in the process. So after that happened, I had to take the camera down when Ortiz fell backwards. I had to see the aftermath. But what's clear about this fight is I have to give both fighters their praise. I have to give Tyson Fury a little bit of praise for returning because he refused to take the immediate rematch. So I have to give him a little bit of praise for taking a little soft touch on Otto Wallen, who cut him up pretty bad, and then to return and say, okay, it's time for me to face Deontay Wilder again. But with that, he had to start changing up his team. So you can't tell me, people, that this man don't have optimism about him stepping in there with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's right hand changes lives, people. When you're born with an innate gift, don't just say, well, you're supporting him because of the shade of your skin. Man, no, look at what I'm just going off the criteria. The man was born with freakish strength. He was born with innate ability, gifts. He was born awkward. You know what I'm saying? You know how they say about savants? Savants, in a lot of ways, are considered geniuses, right? But they only are geniuses in the field for which they're able to relate to and the one that they comprehend to. That's what savants are. Savants aren't these smart geniuses all over like the true ones, like the authentic ones that was born smart. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people say, well, that's what a savant is. Yeah, a savant usually is a person who's very smart in one line. You know what I'm saying? They just have one line of expertise. Deontay Wilder's strength is such a way that you can't teach the way he was starting off and the way he punches, knocking people out with the palm of his hand. But you have to understand his ability and his height, his structure. He's grown into that. He had a rough time in the AMs with limited experience fighting the big boys. He's improved big time. He's been champion, I believe, over 4.5 years. So you have to ask yourself, he goes in here with Tyson Fury and defeats Tyson Fury. Is Anthony Joshua going to hold his end of the bargain and talking about all I want is to fight Deontay Wilder? I don't believe Anthony Joshua, man. I believe he's talking right now because it's good to keep the attention on him. Before, Anthony Joshua did not want Deontay Wilder in his presence. He didn't want that man in his presence. He was like, no. You know, he comes over here, get a restraining order. I don't want him in the ring with me. I don't have anything. Just before the Andy Ruiz fight, he's like, I'm not going to talk about Deontay Wilder before the fight or after the fight. This is a man who hasn't quite grown into the maturity enough to understand he's in the hurt business. And it's just some fights that you have to take risk, just like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua may be neighbors on that footprint. They may be neighbors under the same umbra of their nation's colors. They possibly may be, but they're not cut from the same cloth. Tyson Fury is just a rebel, and he's gonna go out here and he's gonna dive in the fire face first. Anthony Joshua, he's definitely gonna look for a fire extinguisher. Even if it's some of his freaking relatives in there or anything, Anthony Joshua gonna say, shit, let me find a fire extinguisher, some bottle of water, a water hose. Let me find some foam. Let me do something because I ain't trying to mess up. You know, I want to keep making this money. Him calling out Deontay Wilder's name right now is clout chasing. Period. It's period. A lot of people want to sit up here and babysit Anthony Joshua, but when he lost those titles, only a certain few was giving it the way it should. And y'all weren't really criticizing Anthony Joshua. You know what BS y'all was saying? Y'all was up here saying, oh, let me pick that grown ass man up and feed him a bottle and tell him bedtime stories. Anthony Joshua, don't no worries. No worries, Anthony Joshua. You wasn't feeling well. We seen them rubbing your neck. And you know, you just had a bad training camp. Joey DeWeco potentially may have knocked you out in training. And you haven't fully recovered from that concussion. You know, rock you to sleep. And in the morning, we're going to make you some hot cocoa. That's what we're going to do, Anthony Joshua. Don't you dare worry about getting knocked out, stopped, and spitting your gum shield out and acting like you don't know any English when the referee is asking you, are you okay? And asking you to come forward and do everything they're supposed to. I don't, it's not up for me to get. I never get that. I never sit here and capitulate and hear people not criticize Josh for losing his titles, coming in there all bulked up, no gas tank, and Andy Ruiz, who is just sitting up here praising being a snicker connoisseur. People are like, oh, he's the first Mexican heavyweight. We love him. And then that same Mexican heavyweight returned to the rematch. Talking about the partying has got the best of him. Now no one's talking about Andy Ruiz. No one. What's going on, EJ Boxing? What's good with you? EJ Boxing say you hate no more boy AJ. Got his belts back. Hopefully AJ and Wilder can get it on in 2020. You know, one thing I can say about life and you know, communication as they call it, socializing, is that people love to, when it comes to certain critiques, it's considered hating. And then the others, it's considered constructive criticism. And what I'm giving is constructive criticism. I don't waste energy. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I can say to certain people that love putting hate on AJ is the ones that refuse to hold him accountable for not being that fighter. AJ ain't the number one fighter, man. AJ ain't the number one heavyweight in the division. AJ is probably third, fourth. AJ is very predictable and robotic. And I'm just telling you off past experience with AJ. That's extremely how I feel. I told people that was tuning in earlier what I say. I said, when it comes to certain fighters, people want to say it's hating because that's their way of building up enough energy to persuade other followers that may be tuned in that potentially it may be hating. But you're not talking to a dumb one. You know what I'm saying? I've been covering the sport for quite some time, man. It's one thing I do. I'm not being, ex parte about simple stuff when it comes to the sport of boxing. It's easy for somebody to take the credit away from a fighter who went in there and performed to the best of their ability. And then you don't one, and then they critique him. Not from his win, but they say, you know what? He could have did a little bit more work. He's not as powerful as we thought. Because Tyson Fury went 12 rounds with him. His right hand couldn't be that good. He windmills. He lacks fundamentals. He lacks everything that we look for in a boxer. And then he keeps winning. He keeps winning and keeps winning. The last time I checked, AJ has a loss. AJ has a loss. And then also you look at AJ when he came over here to the U.S., initially, his plan to fight Jarrell Miller, which probably would have took the titles from AJ. Look, Jarrell Miller would have been world champion. Jarrell Miller would have went in there and did just the same thing as Andy Ruiz potentially. But Andy Ruiz threw the rover. They sent the rover out, and they saw a guy over there freaking eating a blizzard with damn 3 or 4 Snicker bars sticking out the top. And they said, oh, yeah, that's Andy Ruiz. He looks all nice, soft, and pudgy. Let's bring him over here to fight our man, Anthony Joshua. There's no way he can beat our specimen. Anthony Joshua is a specimen. Come on. You see how he look, all those levitating stage and the pyrotechnics and everything going off? No way he can beat our specimen. Drago Rocky. Come on, Drago Rocky. And what happened? Andy Ruiz came in there, made history, and walked away and still said, I love eating Snickers. No, I love eating Snickers. Joshua was easy work. I know it hurts there, EJ, but Joshua was easy work for Deontay Wilder. Joshua was easy work for Tyson Fury. Easy work. Easy work. The UK is going to have to accept that. The UK will have to accept that. Kudos to Anthony Joshua for buying his belts back. Yes, I said it, for buying his belts back, just like he did with Charles Martin, who went out in second round. Man, I ain't coming. Look, I'm not even using the keyboard. I'm just sitting up here talking. off common knowledge. This ain't the first time Anthony Joshua has purchased his belts. You know what I'm saying? It happens. But you're trying to tell me Anthony Joshua now calling out Deontay Wilder when he was on the run? When he was on the run from a dude that was overweight by 15 pounds, the first Mexican heavyweight who said partying got the best of him, and Joshua couldn't go in here and take his head off, decapitate this dude, and let the people know he back. Whatever y'all thought about my first fight with Andy Ruiz, it was a fluke. I'm back. I'm back. Don't think anything else but what you know. I finished Andy Ruiz. No, Anthony Joshua went in there. He just went in there and went the distance with a guy who was 15 pounds heavier than the first time. That's real talk there, people. Put your ear to the mic. That's real talk. This is real talk, man. Anybody who don't want to acknowledge the fact that Anthony Joshua was a predictable, robotic, his mechanics, everything about his combination setup, Anthony Joshua was not setting any traps. During the Joseph Parker fight, he threw his right uppercut, I believe about 5 to 6 times, even on the break, and it didn't do any damage. It didn't even land. And y'all hyping this kid up still? You know, you want to sit up here and talk about he calling out Deontay Wilder, and he really motivated to come in here and step with the Bronze Bomber? Man, come on, bro. Come on, man. All you got to do is pick up a Webster. I always tell people, man, a Webster is just so easy to access. Man, you know, dictionary, a thesaurus, any of that. And then once you look up hating, you understand that is just an assumed or learned insinuation. It's not anything that you really need to be really focused on. It's just a person that's unwilling to hear someone else's opinion that doesn't favor the object of discussion. And that is AJ being a predictable, robotic boxer. I'm about to put out an article on AJ. AJ, I hope you close by to read it, because my fingertips are wet. Serious. My fingertips are wet phonetically. I'm about to put out an article on Joshua, and I know he's going to read it. The way I'm going to mesh everything together and thread this tuxedo for him to wear, he's going to appreciate it, because I'm going to tell it the way I know it, and I'm going to get straight to the point, and it's going to change the game. You know, it's just one of my trios that I do with media. And it's been a while that it's been coming. But now that the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight is taking place this year, and now we have Anthony Joshua clout chasing and calling Deontay, I want to fight Deontay, I'll close him out in 6 rounds. Who in their right mind to go in here and defend Anthony Joshua after that? He's saying he will close out Deontay Wilder, who we can find no evidence of him in his last several fights been on the canvas. Luis Ortiz, considered one of the best fighters, undefeated, some of the best footwork in the game, southpaw. He was able to breach the line of defense with Wilder, buzz him for 41 seconds, and Wilder still walked to his corner. He still walked to his corner when the bell rang. Then got up. There was a little bit of pause in the action from the ref. And then the action was able to continue. And we all know what happened from then on. The destruction continued, and Luis Ortiz was stopped. Wilder throw windmills, right? But I believe he hit Ortiz with a nice stiff uppercut. And then, you know, Deontay say, okay, shit, let's bring Ortiz back. I want to bless him again. You know, Ortiz in the past had pop positive, pop dirty. You know, Deontay said, you know, it's cool. You know, nobody perfect. Let me bring homeboy back. Let me bring him back. That's all we got to do. And what happened? Carried him all the way to the 7th round and not the sweat from his brow. You think Anthony Joshua was going to be able to handle that intensity? He look, he wasn't even willing to stay in the pocket with Vladimir Klitschko when he had the opportunity. Was he or was he not? Was Vladimir Klitschko trying to carry Joshua? Did Joshua actually look good in that fight? Or Vladimir just looked bad enough being out a year and a half hiatus? He's coming back and finding out, damn, I'm looking good against this prospect. Okay. You know, Klitschko actually thought if he threw the right hand, it wasn't going to drop Joshua. But then he saw the charred glass coming out Joshua's chin and it hanging open like damn split cartilage. Then he found out that Joshua's jaw was somewhat manufactured. And you know what they have? You know what they tell you when you get that letter in the mail with your vehicle? You know how you have some parts on your car and they having a recall? That's what they've been having with Anthony Joshua's chin. But they just can't find the same, they just can't find that material that's suitable for him to understand that still he has to learn how to box, or else his chin will end up destructed. You know, his chin will end up destroyed. You know, just because we put, you know, a titanium base around your chin, Joshua, doesn't mean Deontay cannot split it open again and you go tumbling to the ground. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many memes are going around here with Joshua on his knees? How many was it? Joshua has been on the ground. Did we not see the Andy Ruiz fight? Come on, this ain't hating. This is real life reality. You can look it up online. Joshua loves being reclined. He loves that canvas life. Hashtag. Joshua loved that canvas life. Now he's going to say he's going to go over there and stop Deontay in 6 rounds with what? We're going to do some Nancy Kerrigan? You're going to get your boy Dillian White to hang around the ring rope? You know what I'm saying? The ring apron? And then while Deontay going back to the corner to get instructions from JD's Coach Cuz, you're going to have Dillian White go over there and act like he tripped up with a mop handle in his hand to try to take out the knees. Look, if he was able to connect on Deontay's leg before being taken away from security and his WBC mandatory extracted again, Deontay will probably still fight. That's what type of country strong dude he is. He has a different mentality when it comes to the hurt business. He just said, come on, bro, you making up stuff. Look, it's not nothing I'm making up. It's just creative ad lib on some of this, but most of it is facts when I'm talking about the negotiation process. You can come in here and say whatever you want, man. You know, if you ever want to jump on and have a discussion outside of the keyboard, cool. But don't come up here with the same melody, man. The strings are broke on that. If all you got to say is Joshua is better than Wilder, how? How can you let it marinate that you didn't see the Andy Ruiz fight? Come on, man. Anthony Joshua looked pitiful in there. And then he came in there in Saudi Arabia and put on he underperformed and put on a subpar freaking technical display. He'd rather stay on the outside to a fighter who was just all of a sudden, Andy Ruiz can't throw no combinations. He can't let his hands go. He's just going to stand directly on center and let Anthony Joshua punch, land that glove on his forehead, put away rounds. I'm glad I wasn't the one paying to go over there to Saudi Arabia to cover that fight. I would have left extremely disappointed, to be honest, people. Seriously. To go all the way over there in a land that's not frequent all the time from the masses over here in the US. To go over there and watch a fight, especially if you're Mexican, how they stand behind their fighters and see Andy Ruiz, as big as he was, unwilling to throw punches in bunches, unwilling to go all out to take Joshua down again. It just sucks, man. It's very, very disappointing, to be honest. I can't sit up here and just kick straight facts to you all the time. I'm just telling you about Anthony Joshua being the weakest, one of the weakest heavyweights in the division. Seriously, real, real, real. You know. Um, Island TV 808. Salute. What's good? EJ, are you talking to me? Okay. Bro, that's facts. AJ is a JJ. That comment was hidden. Wildest King. He is in denial, bro. He fights safe. It was boring. AJ fight. You know, TV 808. I can't deny what you're saying, man, because you know it's not just jumping on the chariot and riding it in on everybody's narrative. That's not what I do. I'm just saying if you were paying attention to the fight and you had the opportunity to record it, to look at it more than once. Every fight I look at it more than once. And when I look at fights, I don't look at any fighter that I favor. I look at both of them equally to see who is doing what. You cannot tell me Anthony Joshua went in there just because he was able to stay on the outside and box and win the titles. They did not try to emulate what Deontay Wilder did when he knocked the soul out of Luis Ortiz recently. That they was hopping in the ring, playing, jumping around, and then who's following suit? Anthony Joshua them. Anthony Joshua's crew was in there jumping around as if he did something so spectacular. Yes, he's a two-time champion. I commend him for that. You know what I'm saying? Commend Anthony Joshua for being a two-time champion. But how many defenses can compare to a fighter who's going in there for his 11th defense? And also, he's brushing shoulders with some of the greats in boxing to ever do it. He's going for his 11th defense. They're always talking about quantity versus quality, right? People always want to jump on the Joshua bandwagon and ride that out because they hear a lot of things rattling in the back. They hear that IBO title. They hear all them other titles just rattling around, and they feel like, man, we got some hardware back here. We got some hardware. And then they try to look over the Deontay Wilder, his single coveted WBC belt, which I have to break that shit down too. I have to say, guess what? When it comes to the ranking system, people, the WBC belt is one of the most coveted belts out of the ranking system. And next in line is WBA, and then the IBF, and lastly, the WBO. The green belt is the most prestigious. It may be as one, but the value that it emits in respect to the other fighters and in boxing is tremendous. Serious. Just ask Mr. Suleiman that. That's real talk. Deontay may have one belt, but check this out. It has to be the most coveted belt to have. Come on, man. People love that green WBC belt. They love wearing that to the ring. Having somebody hold it over their head, that WBC belt. You know what I'm saying? That's why Charlo was so happy to get that WBC back. Seriously. That's why both Charlos was. Look, the Charlo brothers probably took so many pictures over this New Year's, man, with the WBC belts. Because if you know the history, come on, man. Somebody tell me the history of the Charlo brothers. The last time they was champions. This makes it even more special for the Charlos, man. Both holding WBC titles, being twins, connected through the sport of boxing. Although Jamal is the better boxer, both of those individuals, Jamal Charlo was raised up. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, Canelo decided to be the franchise champion, and then Jamal was promoted. But when it comes down to not identifying who the better two heavyweights in boxing, and the number one heavyweight is being Deontay Wilder, I don't have no problem, man. Whenever y'all want to, join and have a debate someday about why Anthony Joshua will not go in there and close out Deontay Wilder in 6 rounds. How does he possess this power? He didn't even come close to dropping freaking Andy Ruiz the second fight to a point where someone could have said, oh man, this is an upset. This is the upset the right way. He didn't close out his fighter like Gervonta did Yuriorkis Gamboa. He didn't close the show. He didn't close the show, people. I mean, we need to understand that. Deion Watch said, let me get one of those admin wrenches, Scotty. People talking crazy out here. It's funny. I'm just now pumping up to what I was about to say. To go on YouTube or whatever all the time. So I'm like, you have to learn how to do all that admin wrench stuff, because I really don't pay attention to all that, because I see other groups, right? And they sitting up here like, oh man, I got a wrench. And then you hear the person that's talking, you hear the moderators and everything. They say, hey man, don't kick so and so out. Let them stay in right now. Let them marinate a little bit. Let them get this work. But yeah, you good, man. You should be good. Allen TV08 said I did record it. Oh, I wasn't directing at it. You in a way. I was just saying that's what I do. I look at it. Mr. Boxing Moves in the house. Salute to you. And 808 say, if Wilder was so easy to fight, then why AJ didn't fight him? I totally agree with all that. If Deontay Wilder was just extremely that fragile for someone to step in the ring with him, and all you had to do was worry about the right hand, the hammer, then it would be extremely easy for a fighter proclaimed as AJ to be the more technically sound fighter. That's all I heard. I heard AJ is the more technically sound fighter. Every time he was being Teddy Atlas. Well, who is the better fighter? Oh, Anthony Joshua for sure. He's a unified champion. I'm talking to one of my boys. They up here saying, well, I don't think Deontay Wilder can do it, man. Why? Because Joshua is just too technically sound. I say so. Kind of break it down for me. What's Joshua's strong point? Well, his fundamentals are there, like 1-2 forward, 1-2 back, 1-2 forward, 1-2 back, and then come forward whenever the right uppercut presents itself. Shoot that right uppercut. The only one he truly landed that uppercut against is Vladimir Klitschko. He hit Carlos Takam with a nice right hook, I believe. Carlos Takam got right up. Carlos Takam still to this day was robbed of going the distance. He was robbed. The referee was over impulsive to stop the fight and make Anthony Joshua seem like he's just dominating fighter. After they agreed to come in at 235 and Joshua came in like 254, no one said anything. Outweighed the man close to 20 pounds. Then had the gas tank of a pincushion. Every time he inhaled, ref, stop this fight. Or give me an inhaler. Give me some duct tape or something. Is doctors ringside so I can get open heart surgery? I need a transplant right now. Why am I not able to freaking breathe adequately? Why am I super tired? And we're only in the fourth or fifth round of Vladimir Klitschko, who's been off a year and a half. Man, come on with that. I'll tell you what, I gave y'all a head start. I'm telling you, the article I'm coming out with, y'all make sure y'all pass this to Joshua so he can take a read. It's not gonna be disrespectful, but anyone who knows, how I write articles, it's gonna be phonetically crucial. It is. Because I was waiting to 2020 to release it. Because I just wanted to wait till the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight is coming up now. And I just wanted to see what Joshua is going to do since since he was able to regain his titles. And guess what? He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He know he's not facing Deontay Wilder. So what he's doing, he's talking. He's rambling on. Not one time did we hear him speak of facing Deontay Wilder before the fight, convincing fans that, you know what, after he finished Luis Ortiz, forget everything else. We got to fight. We got to fight. I didn't hear that from Anthony Joshua. I didn't hear him stepping up and saying, it's time. Those two words, it's time. You know why? Because he don't make the decisions. He can sit up here and play around and bobblehead on the mic all day long, but he is not the one making the decision. Look, listen, people, you have to understand about World Combat Sports. I'm not hating on this man, period. He's the one stepping in the ring, not me. I don't have the energy to hate on these fighters, but don't sit up here and be jumping on these other fighters channels that has all these members, and you think everything they say is scripture. And they might say the same thing I say, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's right. You're right." But you come to a channel that's it's low right now. It's all good, but we pimping. We on the road though. We pressing gas. The windows down, sunroof open. It's coming. World Combat Sports is coming, and I'm gonna keep on Joshua's neck until he step up and face guy named Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? He's going on his 43rd victory in MGM Grand Vegas, February 22nd. It's gonna be the biggest fight of the year. Don't you even dare say Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko would do better numbers than Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. It's no way possible for you supporters that's tuned in. I appreciate it. 808, yep, that's facts. 808 said Wilder is so easy to fight. Why AJ didn't fight him? Wilder have the real belt. Mike Tyson had that belt. You speak facts, bro. I appreciate everybody's tuned in for sure. You know what I'm saying? Do me a favor and pass the word, man. It's all good. I don't do podcasts all day, but I just like talking about at my pace on what I choose to and what I know that's out here is hot topics. I might see 5 or 6 media outlets talking about the same thing. I say if they just talking about the same thing and they got 500 or 600 people watching, why the heck should I come over here and talk about Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford? Who ducking who? The fight that's coming up that everybody should be tuned in to is absolutely Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. This is a huge fight. And I'm not the one to sit up here and prognosticate, well, if Deontay Wilder, if he somehow goes through another sickness or he ain't, no, it's none of that with me. I don't see him going in there losing to Tyson Fury. He has a second chance against a fighter who everybody was giving that plus sign to go in there and be the first one to defeat and take that WBC belt and potentially set up a fight for unification. That's what everybody was saying. And it did not happen. When you go in there against a power puncher who can shut you out with a pulse, You have to be good for 12 rounds. Deontay have to be good for a heartbeat. That's all it takes, a heartbeat, for him to throw whatever he is trying to land on his target and knock you clean out. People, you don't have to sit up here and accept it, but you will realize it's absolutely authentic. It's real life. He can hit. He's the hardest puncher in boxing right now. That's absolutely fact. There's no debating on that. He's the hardest puncher in boxing. Deontay is the type of person that'll open hand slap you and you lose the taste in your mouth for an entire year. 808 say, and if Luis Ortiz was so old to fight, then why no other boxers not fighting him? Wilder boxed him twice and KO'd him. That's facts, man. I'm saying the same thing, 808. If Luis Ortiz was 66 and a half years old, the second time they fought, why haven't any notable names put a loss on his record? Why the two losses that's on Ortiz's record is by the same champion? Because they wasn't trying to fight him. Dillian White isn't trying to fight him. When Dillian White thought that the WBC mandatory, he had to fight freaking Luis Ortiz, he was up here whining like a baby. Why I gotta face Luis Ortiz first? Why? And since Dillian White is somehow tongue dancing right now in my narrative, let me put this out there. Him popping dirty, going through the damn the scandal of gloves and everything else. His plan, if he has to face Deontay Wilder, this is what he said. This is the man who was calling Deontay Wilder every freaking defamatory remark you can imagine. He's a coward. He's no good. He's classless. His brother sitting up there saying that when Deontay Wilder was in the UK, he was acting all humble and quiet because he knew what he said. So you trying to tell me your brother can sit up here and talk that, right? But Deontay can't talk it? So he goes over in your backyard. You trying to say, oh, it's thug life? It's thug life. We're gonna hold you accountable for what you said. But Dillian White has been on TV talking mad disrespectful before about Deontay Wilder, and his brother's defending when you absolutely wrong. Your brother's been slapped. Your brother looked bad in his last fight. Man, come on. You fought Derek Chisora, man. He's tailor-made. You and him have the same mentality. All in until someone's all out. That is the mentality of Derek Chisora. Look, I like Derek Chisora. He's all about that game, man. He said, okay, I'm going to go give it to you. You get slapped. Dillian White said if he was to face Deontay Wilder, I believe I can knock him out. I run him down and try to land my heavy punches. And if he chins me, he chins me. Now, listen, people, because I know it's a bunch of smart people that's listening, right? Is that the type of individual that's trying to become champion with that fight plan? Just help me understand this late night college course right here, right? We all in school right now. Just give or take. I'm just gonna put us all in a freaking desk. It's late at night. We almost about to graduate. If we all had to take a consensus, man, all in favor, and ask, was Dillian White plan of attack for the hardest puncher in boxing was to close distance and try to land a punch? And if he gets chin, then so be it. That's his words, y'all. Look it up. If he gets chinned, then so be it. Is that the type of person that you believe that's gonna become champion, that has the capability to do what Luis Ortiz couldn't, Arthur Spilker couldn't, Johan Duhaupas couldn't, who we went 11 rounds with? Very tough dude, never been stopped, and Deontay stopped him. Took punishment, stopped him. Bermain Stavern went the distance with him, came back for a run it back, and look what happened. He's sleeping on the first rope like it's a camping trip. Have we all came to a conclusion that Dillian White has issues with being relevant? You have legitimate players in the game right now who are relevant. You have Wilder Fury. They're relevant. And then Joshua. Joshua is relevant. He has 3 belts. Don't bring that IBO crap around here. He has 3 belts. Joshua is relevant. But is he for real? Is Joshua for real? Because it seems like their sole purpose is to raise Joshua up to be an undisputed champion as long as somebody else go over there and recon that belt from Deontay Wilder and not Anthony Joshua. That's all I see going on right here. I don't see Joshua trying to say, okay, check this out. Let's go back to ESPN. Let's both sit down together, Wilder, and have like an ESPN face-off, Wilder, Anthony Joshua in the same room. Because look, Anthony Joshua never wants to be around Deontay Wilder in the same room now. So let's have this ESPN face-off. We can have Stephen A moderated or whatever. And if you think Stephen A is biased and show favoritism Deontay Wilder, you're totally untrue, because the last time Anthony Joshua was on there, what happened? He was up here saying that, hey, Joshua, you're the best heavyweight in the sport. And I'm saying, Stephen A, man, there you go. You just up here saying what's good for TV. What do you see? What haven't you studied? There's no way that you can sit up here and say a person who's very predictable and throws 1-2 front, 1-2 back, 1-2 forward, 1-2 back, and really have no unpredictability about him. And everybody thought he had this knockout power. Where is it? He knocked down a chubby Andy Ruiz, who got back up and just destroyed him. Anthony Joshua is building up a nice knockdown record. He's really putting in a good solid percentage. And people seriously believe it's not good for you to come on here and identify Anthony Joshua's discrepancies. Look, I don't have to sit up here and tell you that Deontay Wilder is not the most fundamentally sound boxer in the heavyweight division. I don't have to tell you that. You can see how he goes in there, splits the ring first to challenge the best in the division. Now, the results are what they are. You all have to accept the fact of the results. And the results is how many knockouts, how many victories. So you have to factor in that his ring IQ is underappreciated. He does have underappreciated ring IQ. And he has gifted God freakish strength that's applicable to the skill set that he possesses when he's delegating his power authority. That power authority that he has was something that he's innately blessed with. How can you be the height of a basketball player? How can you possess the tenaciousness of a Kodiak bear? How can you possess that type of punching power with limbs that long and a frame that tall when people, the first time I actually seen Deontay Wilder in the airport and took my first picture with him in Vegas, the lady at the airport kiosk asked me, what basketball player was that? True story. A true story. She said, what basketball player was that? I say, that's the heavyweight champ. What do you mean the heavyweight champ? She didn't know nothing about boxing. I said, he's a heavyweight champ, boxing. He's WBC champion. She called the man a basketball player. How can you have that stature and that God-gifted ability to go in there and fight against individuals who are quote unquote fingers over fingers better than you fundamentally. Hey, you have to figure that out, because you know what? I don't sit up here and hesitate on it. My door is open. There's plenty of this out there. As long as we're talking about boxing, as long as you want to talk about this particular matchup or any other matchup, but I'm talking about this one right now that's coming up February 22nd. If you want to convince me on how Joshua, and you want to be confident on that Joshua is indeed headed towards being the undisputed champion, all we have to do is sit here and have a sensible dialogue as to the process for which is going to happen. What is the process for that? I think Luis Ortiz beats Anthony Joshua. I think Luis Ortiz, as hungry as he is to get a win against top tier competition, I would be absolutely amazed if Eddie Hearns actually said, we were going to fight Luis Ortiz now, since we ducked him early in our career. Let's fight Luis Ortiz. You can't come here saying, "Oh, but you got knocked out twice by Deontay Wilder." We know that, but also in comparison, you can match up the discrepancies on Joshua that he took a loss on his record too. He was stopped. It's amazing some of the several stoppages on Joshua records in round 7. And what round did Andy Ruiz stop him in? You know what I'm saying? That's you have to play all that into consideration. I think Luis Ortiz give Anthony Joshua a lot of trouble. I seriously do. Just because every fighter can go in there and knock Ortiz out like Deontay Wilder. You just can't do it. Just like every fighter can go in there and knock out your Yorkis Gamboa like Gervonta Davis did. Seriously. I'll tell you point blank, Devin Haney goes the distance with Yorkis Gamboa. He goes the distance, period. Vasily Lomachenko goes the distance with your Yorkis Gamboa. 12 rounds to the final tick, period. But whenever y'all want to send the watch party out here, we're gonna see it. It's coming up soon. It's already January 2nd, y'all. 2020 is bleeding. It's there. Boxing is ready. It's hydrating. We have some solid bouts coming up. We have a historic, history-making one for the boxing annals with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. A lot is going to determine the makeup of the division after this. You know why? Because Deontay retained his title. Now what? What's next? Apart from the fact that word's been said that Deontay Wilder has a rematch clause with Tyson Fury for this bout. Not to mention, people, for a person that you say has no fundamentals, he is very eager to get back in the ring. He just went in there with Luis Ortiz. And we're talking about what? A couple of months? You're talking about stepping out of fight camp, stepping out the ring, and then taking a little bit of time off and getting back in the fight camp. And you don't want to recognize that man as people champ? He's defended his belt, people. You can't call Tyson Fury the lineal ghost. How do you solidify and validate the lineal championship? Someone just goes away damn near for an eternity and comes back, and he has a good PR team to basically label him as having mental illness, but yet people want to identify as a lineal champion. What happens when Deontay Wilder beats him? Are you going to say, well, he just took part of his lineal championship? He still has another half of that in the closet at home, so he's still a lineal champion. I mean, who even cares about some freaking lineal championship? What we care about is these two stepping in the ring and giving us a good, solid fight of the two best heavyweight champions that was of this era. And you gotta give Tyson Fury his credit for being a unified champion. But Deontay Wilder separate himself from everyone when you defending your title 10 times and you going on your 11th defense. Hey, that's real life. 808 say hell no. He would get KO'd by Wilder. I don't even take him serious. He's a joke. Wilder tried making a fight with AJ. We talked about this early, but in 2018, they did try to make that fight with AJ. The same individuals who was trying to give him 12 million flat, 12.5 flat, 15 million flat. And whenever you hear Eddie Hearn say, we paying him more than he ever made in his career, you have to take that as to who's actually verbalizing that. Because I made this statement before with Eddie Hearns. If you're getting paid $1 a fight before, and Eddie Hearns come up here and tell the public, guess what? We're paying him more than he ever had for this fight. Okay? We're paying him $1.26. That's more than he ever made in a fight before. Okay? So don't say we're not meeting him halfway. We're paying him $1.26. That's what you have to listen to, the way they talk. Look at the way AJ talks, man. It's a thing called what they call it, intellect. I forgot. When people tend to speak down on people, they will more so itemize their talking points because they feel that you're incapable of comprehending them in just a regular sentence. You hear Joshua do this all the time because that's what they do over there. Some of them, they speak to you as if you're incompetent. One, I was a unified champion. Two, you're talking about a gold medalist. Okay, gold medalist. Three, I lost my belts and regained them. That's a lot of everything that Wilder has never done. So you collect all that together. You have a handful of merits that I've just presented to you. A handful of merits. And you're trying to tell me I'm not the best champion, heavyweight champion of this era. I've just given you a handful of merits that I've accomplished by going up here, collecting the belts from a legend in Wembley, sold out, Klitschko. Went up there and stopped Charles Martin in 2. Fought Molina. Went 12th round with Joseph Parker. He's telling you all these accolades, right? And he always have to number them off. If you ever listen to Joshua talk, he needs to tell you the backstory. He needs to sit you down, give you a vanilla latte, and tell you a story. Joshua, are you ready for Deontay Wilder? Are you ready for? Listen, I look at all this, right? I'm a gold medalist. He started going through the same thing. I sold out Wembley with Vladimir Klitschko. He just started giving you all the resume. We did not ask you for the resume. We asked you what? Are you ready to face Deontay Wilder? That's cut and dry, isn't it? Are you or aren't you? Just let us know what you're trying to do, homie. Just get to the point. If you're calling out and saying you're going to finish the man in 6 rounds, then how can we bridge the gap and set up a face-to-face on ESPN or one of the larger platforms? Definitely not IFL, but somewhere that's a bit neutral. Okay, a bit neutral. Definitely not Seconds Out. A bit neutral, so these two can communicate. Because I'm gonna tell you who's gonna win the trash talking battle. It's gonna be Deontay Wilder. He's gonna let Anthony Joshua have it since 2018 when they was playing them games and they tried to come over here to the NYC and walk through the streets and ask random people that they had already placed in line Who knows Deontay Wilder? Who knows Deontay Wilder? But guess what? Do that again. Make yourself look like fools and keep throwing distractors out there from actually what we want to see. We want to see you sign that contract to face Deontay Wilder. And if it's after he faced Tyson Fury, I see it being impossible because time that Anthony Joshua regained his titles, what did Eddie Hearn say? Oh, Anthony Joshua, who cares about Deontay Wilder? Nobody gives a crap about it. All of a sudden, he's a non-factor. Eddie Hearn's come with the same song and dance. They want to devalue who Deontay Wilder is. So now, once they regain the belts, it's mandatory. It's all over again. So, fight fans, I'm telling you right here, don't be shocked that Anthony Joshua get those titles stripped. Don't be shocked that the unified champion, the line of belts that he has become fragmented and dispersed and stripped for him not facing all his mandatories. Watch anything for him to let one belt go so he won't be entirely the focal point of this championship unification, so other people can go around and get those belts, and he can probably hold on to two. He might let one go and not face the mandatory to kind of take the heat off him. So we send Deontay Wilder over there. Anybody outside of Anthony Joshua is going to give up that belt if it comes to them facing Deontay Wilder. Period. Deontay Wilder's willing to face anybody. So they're going to come off the belts regardless. Just get it in your mind, digest it. Just understand that it's there for your mental catalog. Route it, archive it, and bring it out for a later day. It's highly possible for Anthony Joshua's belts to become fragmented. It's highly possible for, once Deontay Wilder comes off this fight February 22nd, he may be fighting somebody, either Tyson Fury or somebody else at the end of the year. And Anthony Joshua may not have all the belts he's supposed to because he won't be facing the mandatories. So if his fans, especially the ones that's on here, if you're still willing to advocate for someone who is not stepping up to the plate in boxing, who is half stepping, who is sitting up here just trying to take advantage and be pretentious with the UK fan base, for them to support him as if he's king, then so be it. Go right ahead, man. Don't let me come over there on the mic. Don't mind me. I've seen the pyrotechnics and the levitating stages and everything when he was champion before. And I said to myself, it's only a matter of time before he loses those belts. And then where the pyrotechnics and everything is going to be at. What you going to do then? When he loses the belts, I BS you not, people. When Anthony Joshua was stopped by Andy Ruiz, I never heard these boxing groups so freaking quiescent, quiet. It was the quiet storm. Seriously. You could have heard an ant sneeze. For real. It was so freaking quiet on these social media groups. The ones that used to sit up here and glorify Joshua as king of the heavyweight division. They just used to glorify this man and say his boxing skills was just top notch and superior to all of those who was his compeers. They was beneath him, primarily Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, but primarily Deontay Wilder. And though I really wanted to go up there and have a decent dialogue with these people and say, listen, he lost because basically what maturated itself was him being exposed. Just like I mentioned before, I told you Anthony Joshua, once he faced tougher competition, he was going to get exposed. Alexander Povetkin wasn't tough for competition. Joseph Parker, he was there to survive. Did you see him agitated or disgruntled from losing his WBO title? No, he was happy. Joseph Parker was happy to survive, be the first one to go the distance with Anthony Joshua. That's his bragging rights. And then he has a quick turnaround and comes in there to face Dillian White on a quick turnaround. He goes from having one loss to two losses. Man, come on, Joseph Parker. Come on, bro. What you was on? You used to be the man, homie. Come on, man. How can you lose to Anthony Joshua and then turn around, have a quick turnaround to face Dillian White and lose? One thing I can say about Tyson Fury, he took his time about returning back to Deontay Wilder. He said, wherever place he sent me during the 12th round, I thank you, Mr. Reese. Because that's the first person he's seen when he came back to his conscious being. He's seen Jack Reese serenading him with a phonetic count, a numeric count, rather. And he just was blessed that he was there to guide him back to the light to finish the fight. But what I can respect Tyson Fury for is not taking an immediate rematch because he know how hard Deontay Wilder hit, and he respected that. Period. '808 said, "Yep, they always going to say something about Wilder. In my eyes, Wilder's on 100." You know, seeing Wilder spar in his camp and seeing the way he go about handling his training, you know, people are always gonna look at him as a boxer with a basketball frame. They're always gonna come up with you know, how they come up with the slick associations. They come up with something that's they want to dress it up as if it's a compliment, but really it's to degrade. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be an insult, but they try to dress it up like it's something that's formal and it's a healthy compliment, but it isn't. He goes in here and just say he finishes Tyson Fury, right? It doesn't go the distance. He knocks him out. Then the narrative is going to read in the media headlines is that Tyson Fury was never the same since his 12th round knockout the first time. And then I'll be on here asking, well, if he wasn't the same, how can he go the distance with Otto Wallen? I mean, it has to be some type of thing understanding that he went and took a boxing match with another fighter. So you can't really put it on Deontay Wilder if he go in there and knock him out cold and he's unable to make the count. It's just Deontay's figuring him out. He's going to maintain that power. But now the next time around in February, he has to distribute or delegate his power and set it up with much more punch combinations. He need to, you know, get an active jab. Every plan that JD's and them have, I'm pretty sure it's going to be efficient for Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury, irky jerky style, we may see him attempt to do the same thing he did with Klitschko. Tyson Fury may want to stay on the outside, but we all must remember who threw the most punches the first fight. That was Deontay Wilder. Who threw the most punches in their first fight? Though he missed some punches, okay, he wasn't in the best of health, but he was the active fighter. So if Tyson Fury was healthy and Deontay Wilder wasn't, and he said nothing about it, and he still was able to pursue Tyson Fury and threw more punches, can you imagine what it's going to be like this time when the fight plan and fight strategy is different? It's definitely not going to be the one we just seen with Luis Ortiz. But we may indeed see Deontay Wilder attack early. We may see that. We may see him attack Tyson Fury early in the fight because he has the power to finish. he becomes a giant when he finishes his opponent. So y'all look forward to that, man. Make sure you go out and support the fight if you in Vegas. That's what it's all about. You know, check out. I'm pretty sure my article will probably be posted. Should be posted tomorrow, to be honest. And share the read if you're a reader. We have skimmers today. We have people who like skimming over stuff. But if you read any of my articles, like I said before, I don't read and put stuff in chronological order for you to just have an easy. A lot of my stuff is just like mystery novels. You're gonna have to put stuff together. Have to mesh things together and figure out what crime is being committed. Who am I talking about? And when you do, you're gonna be like, God damn, take the blade out. Take the blade out. It's not anything personal. I really respect to my integrity, my journalistic skills. I don't go in on people like that. But I'm saying Anthony Joshua's article, it will be informative. It will be one of those it will be one of those projected missiles that's loaded just with a little bit more ammunition than it's supposed to have. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't want to use it, but it might be a little bit like napalm. Seriously, just off the title alone, it might be napalm. Seriously, because I have to address the fact that people need to stop playing around and joking like Anthony Joshua is really about that smoke with Deontay Wilder. You need to stop playing around. It don't have nothing to do about UK and US. It really doesn't. It truly doesn't, because like I said, I really like some other UK fighters over there for their heart and tenacity. Tyson Fury. I like a lot of fighters that fight over there, but the one fighter who is claiming to be the top dog in the heavyweight division, I just don't see him as being genuine to me. When you have to come over to the US and you have your own media in place because you are unaccepting of being asked the hard questions. So you want the soft targets. You want the soft targets in place. You want those individuals who have been told what to ask you. That's not the way you gain US fan base over here. One thing about us, if you're unapproachable, because we've seen plenty of champions come and go. If you are from a different country and you unapproachable, but yet you're telling people that the US love you, go in here and fight in the freaking US like you did before and see what happened. Did you see the fans all cheering when you was up there after you lost your belts with your hand around the new champion and his team? Were they sitting up there serenading you with all that love that you hear in your hometown? No, that's not the way it goes over here. I'm just telling you, have an understanding. When you come over here to the US next time, open up yourself a little bit. Allow the local media to ask you those hard questions, especially if you ever ink the contract to face Deontay Wilder. I know why you want it in the UK. You want as less US media coverage as possible. You want them to be able to have to come and pay out their pocket to go over to the UK just to see you. That's why you're talking that UK talk for Deontay Wilder to come fight you over in the UK, because you want the referee to be in place. You want him to be the moderator, the mitigator. That's exactly what you want over there. You don't want it just to be two men in the ring and we see a good fight. No, you want that to be controversy. You want it to be some type of climactic ending where it's full of controversy, but yet you get the grand prize. That's exactly what Anthony Joshua wants. And anybody out here believing that Anthony Joshua will close out Deontay Wilder in 6 rounds, all I suggest you And I'm not a life coach, but I have studied a little bit of psychology in my degree. Just all I can tell you is that if you aren't totally sober from the weekend, just place the bottle down and the cup beside it. Grab some water and start pounding some water so you can come back to your sanity. You know what I'm saying? So you can hydrate. Because right now you might be a little bit inebriated. You might not be clear. Your conscience might be fogged up just a little bit. But I'm trying to give you words of wisdoms to elucidate yourself, to come back. If you believe that Anthony Joshua will be in there and close out Wilder 6 rounds, you are absolutely intoxicated, drunk, high on whatever you choose to believe. If you believe that's true, please, next time I'm on here, let me know. How is that potentially going to happen without Dillian White running around ringside with a bat and trying to pull off a Tony Harding or Nancy Kerrigan? Let me know how that worked. Like how would Anthony Joshua, of all people, who would have to close the distance and get in close to Deontay Wilder, an area of danger zone which he is absolutely fearful and scared of, how would he get in there and land his right hand on Deontay Wilder? That's a little bit for you all to ponder, man. All right. Mr. Boxer moves. I could care less about them damn titles. I want Joshua Fury and White's head on Wilder's mantle. I like the current. I like the current of that narrative. You basically I could care less about the damn titles. I want Joshua Fury and White's head on Wilder's mantle. Hey, with boxing and politics, man, we getting one half. We getting the half of that now. We getting Fury and Wilder. At least we getting Fury. Once again, Wilder's coming back fighting the best. Anybody who he believes has had some controversy with him competing in the ring for his title, he's coming back to challenge them again. So therefore, Stavern was wiped out, just decimated. Luis Ortiz, Jesus. Please take enough time out. You got a nice little paycheck, Ortiz. Please take time out. I don't want to see you go through that anytime soon. But no one else is going to put you through that predicament. I don't think it's any other fighter out here in the heavyweight division right now that'll put Luis Ortiz down like Wilder did. Period. I think he would get Joshua serious problems. He would get Dillian White serious problems. I think he'll stop Dillian White. Seriously. I believe that Luis Ortiz will stop Dillian White. And then I'm not going to even mention, I would be a tyro if I said Efe Ajagba and Daniel Du Bois would even come close to being mentioned in the fray with these guys. They're not ready. But they are rising stars, though. I like what I see from Daniel Du Bois, right? Dubois. Okay. But check this out. Efe Ajagba has a lot of work to do. He does. He has a lot of work to do. He's too predictable. He has very limited to none head movement. And we just saw him get dropped by what's supposed to be considered a C-level fighter. You can't have that happening to you in heavyweight division. And then they're talking about Efe Ajagba facing Daniel Dubois. If Dubois want to come up and face, I believe potentially it may turn out to be a pretty damn good bout. Who I see winning that, fundamental wise, Dubois. Period. It has to be Daniel. Because I'm looking at Efe Ajagba. He wants to be a power puncher. And when you got a guy who really holds his right hand up and allow you to understand that that's what's going to be thrown after he intends to just release the jab, touch jab, whatever the case, he displays his right hand too damn much. Like, what are you doing, man? You cannot conceal that, baby, any better than that and catch somebody off guard. You know what I'm saying? F.A. Jogger, man, is just too freaking obvious that he's trying to do the Charloism. He's trying to go in there and land nothing but bombs and hope for the explosion. Period. It was the weirdest thing in his last fight when he had his opponent hurt and his opponent was wobbling doing the stanky leg. And FA just walks away to the opposite corner like the referee's supposed to do the rest. And the ref looked at him like, the fight's still on, man. What are you doing? And he goes back over there and gets dropped. He gets dropped. This is one of those prodigies, these heavyweight prodigies that is coming up, and they have a lot of faith, y'all. They have a lot of faith in FA. They have a lot of faith in this guy, but he's absolutely extremely too stiff. His agility is just limited. Hardly any head movement. No angles. Every now and then he may move his head, but it's not consistent. He's not really pressuring the fighter and forcing them to make adjustments where it plays into his favor. That's not FA job. Everything he does is that 1-2, that power shot. He's trying to put you in a coma. And when he lands, FA loves to admire his work. That's a problem because I think Daniel Dubois, he's going to sit in there and land those solid 3-punch combinations. He's a lot more, he has a lot more fluidity. And when he's delegating his punches, and I think he'll give FA a run. He will give FA problems. And I have Daniel winning that fight against FA. Period. That's what I think. That's what I think. Now, for Dillian White, I really don't care who he fights. Truly don't. I don't care who Dillian White fight. If Dillian White fight Dominique Brazil, all right, cool. You know, whatever. From what I hear, Anthony Joshua has Kubrat Pulev coming up. You know, now that he's back from his kissing incident or whatever. So that should be interesting. We might see another upset. I don't know. But Pulev is next in the shoot, I believe, for mandatory. And then, of course, everybody's waiting on Alexander Usyk, the former unified cruiserweight. How you can be the unified cruiserweight and step in here and fight somebody that quickly just because you was a former unified? I thought he should have been forced to have a little bit more tune-ups or, you know, heavyweight contenders first to his resume with wins before he steps in there and potentially fight someone who was the unified champion twice. How do you get that prestige and that privilege already? It should have been a little bit more time released, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They allowed him into the heavyweight division and presented him a heavy care package, and they should have gave it to him in a little bit at a time, spoon fed it to him because he's coming up from cruiserweight. He wasn't unified in the freaking heavyweight division. So what's going on here? You got to hold that man accountable. You got to hold him accountable. But what I will do, people, look, I totally appreciate the ones that's up here later tonight, wherever you may be, work or whatever. I know how that is. Man, I remember those days too. Working graveyard, working freaking shift work. I worked shift work down there over half of my Marine Corps. I was shift worker. So I know what it's like to be up all night, freaking kicking rocks, working, get off in the morning, And sometimes the days are beautiful and some isn't. You know what I'm saying? But the ones that are, it make you just want to go straight to freaking Denny's or IHOP and get you a freaking meal, drink some coffee, look out the window, and by the time you get to the door of your house, you almost sleepy as I don't know what. It's time to hit the rack. But it's gonna be a great 2020. I'm really looking forward to more subscribers, more supporters on here. I know the audience is, how you put it, the audience isn't heavy right now, but they coming though. The audience is coming. Don't worry about it. The audience is gonna be here. I haven't been on this YouTube channel that long, but I'm over 4,000 subscribers right now. Thanks to you supporters. I appreciate it. Continue to pass the word. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, man. Seriously. The more the better. And I'm old school. I came up without internet and dial-up. But check this out. I didn't know how important likes. Some people buy their likes too. Some people out here faking the phone. But I didn't understand how important it was to have likes to a channel and all this other stuff until I was out doing media, and some person asked me, "Yeah, I looked at your channel the other day. You're doing good work, man. I appreciate it. You just need to get your likes up. You need to get your subscribers up." I say, "Yeah." I say, "Does it really matter?" He said, "Yeah, it really matters. In this day and era with you being media, it truly matters in a way." Because they do take a peek at your social media. And I was like, dang, what happened to interviews? What happened to speaking to somebody one-on-one and just trying to determine how their character is at that point? That's the way it used to be. You know what I'm saying? You just talk to someone and you kind of get a, perception, a rating, and then you carry on from there to see if you maintain that. You know what I'm saying? Maintain that rapport, maintain that friendship or the relationship that you establish, and see if y'all can just keep a stable live communication. That's all you have to do. But all the platforms is out there. worldcombatsports.com. Check out the site. Have a lot of superb gear out there, content rather. I have the homepage, boxing, MMA. I know I don't speak too much about MMA when it's a boxing title, because I'm not, it's not something you do. Like, you don't want to really cross thread unless someone's in the live chat speaking about MMA, and we can get with it. Seriously, you want to talk about grappling, gi, no gi? Yeah, we can talk about that too. It's all fun and games. But people, I'm about to let you enjoy your second morning of 2020. It's been a pleasure speaking with you all. Hey, you're going to see it grow. Continue to water the roots. One team, one fight. And salute from World Combat Sports. Appreciate it. Be sure to turn up and tune in.